It's time now for the award-winning #1 local talk show in Northeast Pennsylvania, The Sam Lesante Show. Now here's your host, Sam Lesante.
Thanks for joining us, my friends. We want to know what happened in 2017 in the city of Hazleton. And remember, folks, as the city of Hazleton goes, I'm sure the surrounding areas, it affects the surrounding areas. So today, Mayor Jeff Casat joins me to review 2017 and give you an update of what's going on and how we're progressing in the city. Mayor, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
I want to thank you because I know that you've been doing a lot of meetings, and every time we call you, you're able to you're responding, and I appreciate that very much. I had Jerry Speziale on the show, our chief, and with great numbers. Of course, as he stated, there's still crime. Okay, so we're not going to erase that, but the city really came down considerably, and we'll discuss a little bit of that, and which I think is fantastic. But in review, okay, and trying to just deal with facts, not politics, but facts, okay? What did it look like when we started off in 2017?
Well, it started off with a budget that I was very worried about receiving in January. I warned the people of a shortfall, but we moved on, and we got through the year. We started. We got hit with that snowstorm in March, and that was devastating to us financially and equipment-wise. It ended up costing us close to $200,000. A lot of our equipment was broken down, and it had a ripple effect throughout the course of the year because of the money that we spent on that snowstorm. It took away from money that we couldn't fill potholes, we couldn't pave roads this year. All that money that comes out of liquid fuels was utilized for the storm, and then also for the purchase of the 2 trucks. I don't know if you remember, but early last fall, we wanted to purchase 4 new trucks and finance them at 1.77% interest, and council rejected that, and we ended up, they wanted to purchase and pay in full for 2, and that's what we did. Unfortunately, those trucks didn't come in time for the storms, but we do have them now. But those combinations really kind of put us behind the 8 ball, to say, for the paving that went on in 2017.
Going back to 2016, I remember when you were on the show, and you were on a number of times, and you were going over the budget, and you said at the time that the budget will be short. The budget will fall short. At that particular point in time, when you told council, what was your suggestion to that we wouldn't fall short, we wouldn't fall into the situation we did last year in 2017?
Well, we needed a realistic budget. For the last 4 or 5 years, our budget was at $9.7 million. Not only did they increase taxes, they actually decreased the budget to $9.1 million. So we actually went backwards, and that caused a lot of financial strain throughout the course of the year. Some of the things that they put in the budget were unrealistic, the sale of the land. Then they also had money coming in from the airport and asset forfeiture from the drug stuff that was actually illegal to put in. So I believe that we were going to be about $815,000 short last January, which at the end of the year the state did have to give us a loan for $850,000. So we were pretty accurate on that amount.
I talk about management, Jeff, and we see in the state, even in federal government, where if you don't have fiscal management and if you don't have representatives that know what they're doing, okay, the public pays the price for that, okay? So we pay the price when we have inefficiency. And I don't know what the magic wand is, Jeff, in electing people that are qualified, and without being a Democrat or Republican. I'm not even talking about that. And so what happens is the residents in either a city, a borough, or a township pay the price for inefficiency, okay? So I always ask the question, if you're the mayor and people voted you for to be mayor, I know I'm redundant when I say this, but when you're the mayor and you come up with a budget, because I think you're a full-time mayor, aren't you?
Correct.
Okay, so that's your job every day, all right? So if I'm a councilman or a councilwoman, I would be able to come in and review with you, and we talked about this, as to why do you want to do what you're doing? Because you're there every day, and then I could offer suggestions. But that didn't happen, did it?
No. I think a lot of the problem comes in where the separation of government in the city is the legislative and the executive. Council believes it's my job to come up with ways to bring in income, but they're the ones that write the ordinance. I could make suggestions to them, which we've talked about. I said, let's try to do something like this. But to sit there and say no, 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 and be obstructionist doesn't help anybody. I mean, it's their job, council, the legislative branch, to create laws and ordinances and fines and fees. They're the ones that set that. The executive branch carries out
But Jeff,
those
how
things.
how do you do that? Because they're not full-time, okay?
No.
Okay, so how do you do that without getting input from the person who is in the executive branch, who is there full-time, and regardless who it is? When Joe Yunuzzi was there, it was the same thing. Whatever mayor is there, so you're there. So if they're coming in saying, okay, Mayor, why do you want to work with this? Because this is what they don't do all the time.
No, it's a very hard job. A lot of people think running for council is just to
Yes.
have a status.
Yeah.
It's a very hard job. I mean, I sat on there for 2 years,
Yes.
but I wrote a lot of legislation. I stayed up at nights while I was on breaks. I wrote pieces of legislation to bring in money and things. A lot of it was rejected by council, but it's a very time-consuming and hard job to do. It's not just going to a meeting one time a month and disagreeing with something I say. There's a lot of work that goes into it. I mean, I'm supposed to go to them with an idea, and they're supposed to meet with other cities and municipalities and find, what are you doing about this? What are we doing about this? That's not just the job of the mayor or the administrator in a city. That's actually council's job. Council is equivalent to Congress. You don't see the president going to come up with ideas for parking meters and stuff like that.
So when I spoke to Allison in December, and I asked her to, and as well as I wanted the three new council people to come on the show, they explain what their direction was. Her reply was, Sam, what I really want to do is I want to be able to really see what's going on. I want to be able to go into different departments. And I thought I could appreciate that. And I figured, well, let's wait before we ask them to come on the show to explain to the citizens of Hazleton what their direction is going to be. Okay, so I would assume that Allison and Tony and Jim are involved, with you and in conversation and looking at these departments. Now, the thing that I would be concerned about, as I'm hoping the public would be concerned about, is do any one of these three people have any agendas? Okay, and if you have an agenda, a political agenda, then I would be very disappointed. Okay, and I don't know whether they do or not. So I'm hoping, and believe me, I don't think you want a yes person. I think you want to agree to disagree. So what do you expect from the new council people?
Like you said, you don't want somebody that's going to agree with you, because obviously not one person knows everything and not everybody knows the feel of the people. So you do need people that are going to come with ideas. We all have to work together. We had 7 council meetings in the first 14 days. So we have been getting together. We're trying to get organized and focused, but you do need input from everybody on ideas to come up with revenue sources. Our budget's pretty hard to cut. The amount of costs that are contractual and employee bound is astronomical compared to the total budget. So that's where a lot of the problem comes. I mean, I know last year and the year before I got accused of overspending, but 2016, if it wasn't for that 27th pay period, I would have been under budget. 2017, I actually, with the unaudited numbers, I actually spent less than what was brought in. That could change, after when the audit comes around. But
okay, so when we go through when we just review some of these departments and it'll give the people an opportunity what's happening, like in administration, airport, and development code, we're able to see where efficiency and where management is in place. And that's what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Forgetting who it is if you have effective management. And you're absolutely right. If you're running for prestige, which is unfortunate, we have politicians that just want to run for they're nice people. Oh, he's a nice guy, he's a nice lady, or she's a nice person. And we're in a mess. I mean, we're in a mess. Folks, I'm talking to Mayor Jeff Casat, talking about what's happening in the city moving forward. There's a lot, you have property here, you live here. You heard Jerry Speziale, what they're doing in the police department, which is outstanding. And let's see where we go this year. We come back, we'll be going over different areas. And how do these things affect us? Stay with us. Welcome back to the Sam Lesante Show, folks. Remember, 24/7, ssptv.com. My email is sam@ssptv.com. And remember, if you did not download our app, I highly recommend you do. And when you do, you'll understand why. All the shows we produce are on this app, and it's a lot of information. You just search SSPTV. My guest today is Mayor Jeff Casat, looking at what happened last year, and let's see what's going to happen this year. So reviewing the departments. Let's start with administration. What happened in administration?
Yeah, administration is probably the least glamorous position, but we did go through and we negotiate new contracts with the liability insurances, the phone system, the cellular phone system, copy machines, a lot of these things that small things that you save a lot of money on. They always told me, you got to watch the pennies, the dollars take care of themselves. And
yeah.
That's the way I grew up, and you look for the small savings, and they multiple times. One of the biggest battles that I fought was the stopping to sell the delinquent taxes. I know there was a lot of people that were against that, and they wanted to sell it, but it's a quick fix. But now I got away from that, and now we're going to save the city $50,000 to $60,000 per year moving forward every year by not selling. So that was one of my favorite accomplishments that we got done this year. We're out at the airport. We finished the runway extension safety thing. So now our runway is now 5,001 feet, which will allow larger aircraft to come in, which will increase fuel sales, which will increase hangar rentals. Bring more people up to that area. So that was really good. And yes, the airport is self-sufficient. The city does not fund the airport currently.
I talked to Dominic Yanuzzi a while ago, and we talked about, what I'd like to do is, there's so much that's happening at that airport. They've done a great job up there. And, one point in time, because here again, this brings in a lot of revenue that people really don't know about,
The airport it benefits a lot, especially the companies out in Humboldt. And I mean, it's not directly Hazleton, but they're the places that give Hazleton jobs.
Yep.
A lot of our people work in those factories. So it's utilized indirectly. It does help the city.
The transit, Ralph Sharp doing a great job.
Yes. The transit, we got 2 new CGS, the compressed natural gas buses are coming in. We put bike racks on the front to help out people that ride bikes and students. So now all of our buses have bike racks on. We have an app. We got a live app. So instead of standing out in the cold, you could follow the bus routes and go out when your bus is coming. Because we use the flag down system. So that'll help out. We expanded our advertising with bus wraps, which you see a couple of buses. I think there's 3 or 4 of them now completely wrapped. So we bring in money with that.
Boy, they're powerful.
Yes, they are. The Department of Public Works is probably the most unappreciated department there is. There's 14 guys to handle almost 140 miles of road. And that means, patching, paving, sweeping, salting, plowing. They also have 1,700 streetlights to maintain, 14 parks and playgrounds. There's 1,400 storm inlets. And there's so much more that they're responsible for that nobody knows. And it's a struggle to go in there every day and say, okay, we have to do it. You got to prioritize. And in the morning you might be patching holes. In the afternoon you might be cutting grass or fixing anything. We did get 2 new trucks this year for them, one large Freightliner and one Ford F-550. So that was good. And they did get stuck putting up my almost 1,000 snowband signs, which, again, that's going to save us thousands and thousands of dollars each year, because you don't have to go out First you got to print those old green signs, $1.50 each. You're getting 1,000 of them printed, 2,000 printed a year. Go put them up, take them down. So all that man hour is gone, so we could dedicate to the streets, save thousands of dollars.
Well, I got to tell you, you know, you're so right. Frank Vito with his crew, I mean, they just do a fabulous job. They really do, and I hats off to them, because when you talk about, you know, the recent snowstorm we have, I even commented to you. It was, you know, I came in and said, "Wow, this is great." I mean, these guys were really working, and women are working like crazy. And
we had 5 guys on that snowstorm.
Wow,
on the day shift, 5 guys to handle the
and they did a great, and you know, they really do a lot. And I think you know, they're right. They're unsung heroes. You know,
absolutely.
But hats off to Frank Vito and his crew. That's for sure. And we have recreation with Joe Zeller.
We did a lot more work on the playgrounds this year. Hopefully by next year we could have them all completely finished. We had up at West Court, we got new basketball courts put in. A group from Wilkes-Barre came down to help us revitalize the baseball field up there with all new dirt. Our Independence Day celebration downtown, 4th of July, growing and growing. It was, you know, excellent time. We had Hazleton Day out at the Philadelphia Phillies against the Cubs. Solo Sereni was moved outside. You know, we started doing a lot of stuff through recreation department.
A lot of activity, I tell you. Yeah, the
community development, economic development. You know, finally, you know, when we came in office, there was a couple properties we wanted to target and take care of. You know, and 2 of them was the Poplar Street School, which is now being renovated to be 18 apartments. The Phoenix is finally gone. You know, we were able to negotiate a deal to keep Victoria's Candy in Hazleton, which is, you know, family traditions. What Hazleton is all about. They're going to stay in Hazleton. Everybody was afraid of losing the hospital.
That was a biggie.
They're actually going to stay and expand the emergency room.
Good.
The Gottstein family did an incredible job with the old Hazel Township High School. They built, so instead of having a vacant thing, we have the Highwood USA bringing jobs up to the Beltway Industrial Park. That's what Victoria's Candy is also moving up to. Valmont Newmark is expanding. It's going to bring 100 new employees into the city. The Pork Packers is putting a large expansion on. So there's a lot of things going on with people that are here.
Yeah, it's good to hear.
Jobs are growing.
Yeah.
Laurel Street was finally finished through a grant. You know, it's a little like Laurel Street Wasteway, we call it now. But that was complete. So there's a lot of things that were going on with economic development. And
the grants utilized and upcoming, okay, here again, this is, you know, I've always found, you know, when I was involved with the college, if you're working on certain grants and you have, there's a lot of grants available, you just have to know where to go and get them. What are you doing in that respect?
We have a couple of different engineering firms helping us. We have a lot of people that are coming and, you know, giving us the ideas when they are. I mean, Donnie Leshko is excellent at writing grants. The chief is amazing at writing grants. Just the stuff that we've got.
Speciale gets them all the time.
Yeah, he's very, very good at that. He's years of experience.
And now Don Lesko's also involved?
Yeah, he's excellent. He's another one that's excellent at writing grants. We got a fire engine through the community development this year. We got 3 new chief vehicles through an LSA grant, which allowed us to utilize the old chief vehicles and put them in the code department and get rid of the older, non-efficient vehicles. You know, we got. They also got money for to redo the structure of the fire station, all through grants. So there's a lot of things that were going on up there. You know, the police department, we got a grant for 3 new vehicles through them and 2 police officers through the cops grant. We were also, this year, we were able to hire 6 new officers. You know, we're going through the process. We're going to be hiring 5 more next week. So unfortunately, some have retired and moved on to other jobs. Yeah. You know, but you could see what that did, how that's helping the city. You know, our crime rates, they were down 26% from 16 to 17. They're down another 19% from 16 to 17, 17 to 18. So, you know, we're down a total of 40%, you know, since the administration came in.
It's very encouraging. The other one of the other areas is the code department. Okay, because here again, this talk about what happened with the code department, because I find this very interesting.
We made a lot of changes when I came in. The first thing I did was I put the code department under the fire department, which gave us more access to stuff and more visibility. I brought Charlie Pedri in last December and redid the office over. We did have 8 code officers at one time. We're down to 3. However, our code complaints went from 325 to 475. Our rental registrations were up 100, almost 150. Our rental inspections almost doubled. We had 120 citations go to the magistrate that brought in $40,000 to $50,000 in fines. The zoning, Charlie also handles the zoning, which there was over 100 applications put in for zoning this year. We got a new GIS system, a global system to plot things on. So we're plotting all the violations. And then eventually we'll be able to plot the crimes and the fires and everything.
How does that work, Jeff?
It's kind of like Google Maps.
Yeah.
You go on there, you click a property,
Yeah.
and it'll bring up everything that happened there. It'll show you business license, if it has a business license. It'll show if you have any code violations. It'll show you how many times the police department will be there. It shows you everything. It's real. It's one of those other things moving into the 21st century.
Now, I know. How is it working with absentee ownership? People that come in, buy, and then they let the place fall apart, and then they're either living in another state and you can't get them. How is that working?
We've been working on that through the rental inspections and the rental registrations. There's a thing we're working on this year to try to further that process. So the hard part is right now we're down to 3 part-time officers. We went from 8 down to 3 part-time. Mm-hmm. So we are going to have to beef up the code department again now at this time of the year to get ready to do things to handle that kind of situations.
Well, I got to tell you, the code department, I know that there's a lot of work involved. Folks, I'm talking to Mayor Jeff Casat giving us a review what happened 2017. Hopefully 2018 is going to be very progressive. We agree to disagree, folks. I hope we have, like I said, agree to disagree and move the city forward. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back to the Sam Lesante Show, folks. 24/7, SSPTV.com. Download the app. Search SSPTV. When you download it, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. My guest, Jeff Cusat, Mayor of Hazleton, looking at what's happening in the city. Remember, it affects all of us. Jeff, let's talk about Act 47. Where are we with that? First of all, explain what Act 47 is so people.
The state came in last year in September, and we signed to be considered to be a distressed city. So we met qualifications. They gave us that stash, and now they will come in and give us support and to help us to recover from the financial situation that we are.
Where are we with that? Are we moving ahead?
We're moving ahead. We're meeting. I have meetings and phone calls every day. I believe in the next 2 or 3 weeks they will be coming. Pennsylvania Economy League will be coming in to give their first presentation. It'll be a public meeting, explain it, and then we'll start the process of becoming a recovery.
So you work very closely with them, right? And your administration,
extremely.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm on the phone. I was on the phone till 10 o'clock last night with them. It's
and they go over every department, everything that you.
Every department, every aspect of the business, and you just a lot of detail.
So will they come in with a recommendation then?
They're going to come in with with recommendations. Then the city will have to turn that into an ordinance form, and it goes to council to be voted on.
Okay.
If it passes, it becomes law, and we must follow it. Mm-hmm. If council rejects that plan, the mayor creates his own plan, and then council has to consider that. If that's also rejected, then the city can go into receivership, which the state comes in and just takes over everything. Mm-hmm. So that's what you really want to avoid.
What do you think is going to happen? I mean, if you're working with them constantly, and I know your entire administration is working with them, hopefully we're not going to get into a situation where, it gets that bad, okay?
We're not, I don't believe we're in that bad of a situation. Financially, we were only about $1 million short. Most cities are $30, $40 million short when the state finally comes in. You know, we just had uncooperative people last year that didn't want to do the right thing, and that's what kind of forced us into this situation.
Well, I hope we're moving forward. Okay, let's talk briefly. Got about 2 minutes. Let's talk about your office. What did you do in your office? You performed 82 weddings. Why'd you do that for?
Well, people come in, and I'm almost at 200 in my 2 years.
Is that
I'm
right?
Close to 200. They're nice, quick little ceremonies. It's nice to meet people that are happily together.
Yeah.
I got to throw out 3 first pitches this year. I threw one out for the Little League, one out for the Red Barons, or the Rail Riders.
Rail Riders, yeah.
And I actually got to throw out the first pitch at the Philadelphia Phillies game. The city won a Townie Award, which we were nominated for by Krista Schneider, for improvements made in the safe city. We had 2 employees received the Mayor's Life Saving Award. Brian Schoonermaker and Sam Altmiller saved another person's life while not on duty.
Yeah.
I got to go through fire department training.
You did?
I went through.
Where was our cameras then?
Yeah, I got some pictures for you. But about 7 months I went through. I got 13 certificates. I wanted to learn the job. I wanted to know what it's like. So it's not as easy as people think.
Well, the girls did a show, my daughter, and
yes.
that was a great show. We did 2 parts, and they actually went into the fire. I mean, that was it was scary.
We raised some money through the revitalization fund. I had a
Yes.
couple fundraisers.
Yeah.
We have challenge coins for the mayor's office, the police department, and the fire department. They're still available for $8 each.
Okay.
We have model cars of the police department, replicas of the police department, and of course the golf tournament. And then that money is used for small things, you know, improvements around City Hall. I've paid for a bunch of grant applications. We sponsor the city events, and then also for local causes. And if somebody comes in and needs a couple dollars, you know, it comes out of that fund.
You got a lot of things going, Jeff.
And then the year ended. You know, we came back from Christmas break, and I was met by L&I, who immediately shut down the boiler, and we've been without heat since December 27th. We just got the heat back on last Thursday.
Wow.
So we were 22 days without heat in City Hall. So
You had some help there from Senator Udicek and Bill Rinaldi, I understand.
yes, we called Senator Udicek, and he put us in touch with Billy Rinaldi. Billy Rinaldi graciously lent us
Yeah.
a heating unit.
Yeah.
The price was about $17,500 for the estimate that we got per month to have it. He graciously, you know, lent us one for the entire time. So it was.
You know, Bill Rinaldi's been so great to the city. He really has. You know, he has been able to, and he's a low-key guy. He's not the kind of guy that wants to say, hey, this is what I did. I mean, Bill Rinaldi with, you know, he just did a great job. Well, you know, there's one thing that I was talking to a pastor who was going to be, you know, there's some changes being made in the city. Anyway, I said, well, Father, it's going to be interesting for you to do this expansion. And he says, Sammy, I'm going to have fun at it. You know, and when you can have fun at your job, and I don't mean laugh, I mean having it that you could work together, agree to disagree, and then still be able to move the city forward. And I'm hoping and praying, Jeff, you know, I don't think you want yes people, but I'm hoping and praying that city council could agree to disagree and move forward in the city.
I love the job. I get up every day and take a new challenge on.
Yeah, and boy, you've improved on television, that's for sure.
Sure have.
Jeff Casat, Mayor Jeff Casat, folks, a review of what's happening. Let's all work together. Let's move the city forward. It's for all benefit everyone. We'll see you next time.